Ever found yourself longing for the good old days of driving? Today we dive into the nostalgia of automotive history and reminisce about the car features that we dearly miss.
Give it a few turns. There we go.
Let's kick things off with a real throwback. Crank handles being used to start the engine. Back in the day, you didn't just push a button or turn a key to bring your car to life. No, sir. You had to roll up your sleeves and give that crank handle a good old-fashioned twist. It was quite a substantial effort, but there was something undeniably satisfying about feeling the engine roar to life beneath your fingertips. Fast forward to today, and starting your car is as easy as pie with keyless ignition systems and push-button starts. While the convenience factor is through the roof, there's a certain charm that's been lost along the way. It connected you to your car in a way that push-button just can't, you know?
You depress the clutch, shift into low, release the clutch.
Who remembers those cool shifters that sprouted from the steering column? Like second nature, your hand would just find it, changing gears with smooth clicks. Tons of space on the center console for, well, anything. Today's shifters on the floor are comfy and all, but there's just something about that classic column climb that makes every driver feel like a vintage wheelman, right? Maybe a little less ergonomic, but that nostalgic charm, pure gold.
Off we go, and there goes the speedometer. It's working now.
Miss those speedometer dials staring back at you like trusty partners? Remember the good old days when a flick of the eye told you everything? Speed, fuel, the whole 9 yards. Now we've got fancy glowing screens. But there's something special about those old gauges, right? Like a trusty compass that kept us on track. Maybe a bit simpler, but hey, who needs distractions when you've got the road ahead calling?
Rev up your engine!
Rev your engines for this one. Remember that deep, throaty rumble of a car with a carburetor? Like a symphony under the hood. It mixed air and fuel for a classic ride. Now it's all fancy fuel injection, sure. But there's just something about that carburetor gurgle that makes a driver grin, right? Maybe a little less precise, but that gasoline scent and rhythmic hum, pure nostalgic magic. Keys, anyone? Remember that satisfying click burr of a key starting your car? Like a secret handshake that rumbled your engine to life. Now we've got those keyless fobs, push-button starts, futuristic and all that. But there's something undeniably cool about that key-turning ritual, right? Like a pilot prepping for takeoff, key in the ignition, twist, and vroom. Maybe a bit more work, but hey, that feeling of bringing your chariot to life? Classic.
You turn it one way, it goes down, and the other way, it goes up.
All right, back in the day, rolling down your window meant grabbing onto that good old crank handle and giving it a whirl. Twisting that crank handle was like a mini car gym session. But hey, at least the fresh air whooshed in nice and smooth. Now, power windows reign supreme. A tap of a button and voila, open sesame. Don't get me wrong, convenience is king, but there's a certain charm to those crank handles. Anyone else out there miss that satisfying twist that brought the sunshine or the wind rushing in? Honk if you miss horn rings. Those bad boys were the original way to politely, or not so politely, say, hey, on the road. A simple tap on the steering wheel and blammo, a classic beep beep that everyone understood. Now we've got honking buttons scattered everywhere. And they are convenient, but they're just a little bit boring. There's something undeniably cool about a horn ring. Anyone else out there dream of bringing back that honkin' good time? Let's hear it for the return of the horn ring. Yo, remember when glocking your car was a whole arm workout? Flick that wrist, hear that glorious clunk, and your chariot was secure. Now it's just a push-button paradise. Don't get me wrong, it is convenient, absolutely. But there's a certain satisfaction, a connection you just don't get with a button. Who else misses that physical lock? It was like a secret handshake with your car. A little ritual that said, see you later, buddy. Anyone else out there, team bring back the clunk? Furthermore, how about those floor-mounted dimmer switches? The thrill of commanding your headlights with a swift tap of the foot. It felt like conducting a light show from the driver's seat. Now, buttons and flick switches. Yes, they're convenient. But, don't you miss the days when your foot controlled the whole vibe? We traded that nostalgic dance with the road for soulless button pushes. Progress. Yeah, that's what they call it. But sometimes you gotta wonder, did we lose a little bit of the fun along the way?
And the latest one is a radio telephone in the car. Within range of 2 VHS stations, the driver can make and receive calls from
Inbuilt car phones. Remember those beasts? Brick-like things that practically glued you to your seat? But oh man, were they cool. Talking on the phone from your car, you felt like a celebrity. Now it's all Bluetooth and voice assistants. And yes, it's convenient, but it's kind of sterile, you know? Don't you miss that cozy feeling of curling up with that giant handset, dialing away from your chariot? Progress is great, but sometimes you gotta wonder if we sacrificed a little bit of that car phone charm for the sake of sleekness. Getting further with our list, remember car lighters and ashtrays? That click-flick combo for smokers on the go? It was pure satisfaction. Now those trusty companions are about as common as 8-track players. Healthier times for sure, but does anyone else miss that smoky haze and little glow of the ashtray? Cars these days are all about charging phones, not lighting smokes. Progress is great, but there's a certain, shall we say, aroma of nostalgia for those quirky relics. Cassette tapes and CD players. Remember those prehistoric music players? Sure, they weren't exactly lightning fast, but crafting the perfect mixtape or burning a killer CD, that was an art form, my friend. Now it's all streaming and Bluetooth, which is cool and all, but kind of impersonal, you know? Don't you miss the satisfaction of popping in a tape, that satisfying click of the CD drive, and the music instantly setting the mood for your road trip? Maybe it's slower, but there's a certain charm to that predigital ritual. Wouldn't you agree? Front bench seats. Now that was a party in the front seat. Forget social distancing. It was all about piling in. 3 across like sardines on a road trip adventure. Sure, bucket seats are comfy and all, but they lack that snuggle factor, you know? Remember the epic sing-alongs, squished together with siblings, sharing fries that inevitably ended up on the floor? Those were the good old days. Maybe a little cramped, but the memories made on those bench seats? Pure gold. Bucket seats can't replicate that kind of road trip magic. It's time now to chat about T-tops, those nifty little roof panels that gave us the best of both worlds. Picture this. Cruising down the highway with the wind tousling your hair and the sun kissing your face, all while keeping the car's structure intact. T-tops were the epitome of cool. But nowadays, convertibles have stolen the show, offering that full open-air experience without the hassle of storing those panels. Certainly, they're convenient, but there's a certain charm in the simplicity of T-tops. Who else longs for those carefree summer days, cruising with the top down? The good old days when T-tops ruled the road. Forget sleek and modern. Back in the day, headlights weren't just lights, they were a secret handshake for cool car guys. Flick a switch, and those babies would pop up like your car was ready to blast off. Sure, today's headlights smoothly disappear into the car's body, but isn't that a bit boring? We miss the drama. The pop-up lights that screamed, "Let's light up the road in style." Those were the days when cars had a little bit of showmanship. When the sun was beating down and it was getting a little stuffy in the cab, forget about cranking down the whole window. Back in the day, we had these nostalgic wing windows, tiny triangular vents that were like a summer breeze cheat code. They let in just the right amount of air, and they kept the hair perfect, and they closed with a satisfying clunk. Sure, today's cars have a fancy AC, but blasting cold air isn't just the same as feeling that natural wind whip through your hair. Wing windows, those little blasts from the past that made every summer cruise unforgettable. Alright, you know those old school fender-mounted mirrors? They were like the classic way to keep tabs on the traffic behind you. Talk about style and functionality. Those babies perched up on the front fenders of cars, giving drivers a sweet view of what was going on behind them. And let's not forget the retro cool vibes they added to any ride. And then sleeker aerodynamic mirror designs swooped in and stole the spotlight. Now it's all about mirrors blending seamlessly into the car's body. They might be fancier, but there's something whimsical about those fender-mounted wonders. Who else misses the satisfying twist of the wrist when adjusting their mirror? Man, remember those epic power antennas that zoomed out like mini rockets? And the antenna balls that bobbed along like happy car mascots? Those were the days. Now we just tap a button for tunes thanks to fancy satellite radio and streaming. It's super convenient for sure, but there was something special about cruising down the highway, radio on scan, waiting for that perfect station to blast your speakers. Anyone else miss those surprise radio gems and the thrill of the hunt? Moving on to another quirky little features on cars those days, headlight wipers. Back in the day, they were like the tireless pit crew for your nighttime vision, keeping your headlights sparkling even during downpours. And let's be honest, their rhythmic swish-swish was weirdly mesmerizing, like a mini car wash disco. Fast forward to today's fancy headlights, sure, they're sharper than ever, but man, do I miss those little wiper guys breaking a sweat for us. Remember those boss moves of swinging open a car door the opposite way? Yeah, those were the good old days of head-turning entrances. Forget today's plain old doors. Picture these bad boys opening from the back, like a scene straight out of a classic movie. So dramatic, so stylish. Safety and trends took over, sure, but there's a secret longing for that entrance magic, right? Wouldn't you love to ditch the ordinary and roll up in something that screams, "Look at me," ready to trade practicality for a little entrance-making drama? Let's talk about bringing back the thrill of the rear hinge door. Wood paneling on cars. Remember that? Those cars that looked like they could cruise straight out of a vintage postcard? So classy, right? They may have gotten traded in for today's sleek aerodynamic rides, but there's something undeniably cool about that old-school wood grain vibe. Who else misses cruising in a car that looks like a piece of furniture? Maybe we can't roll back the clock, but wouldn't it be sweet to add a touch of that retro magic to modern cars? Just imagine, wood grain accents with a modern twist. Alright, you know what's a lost art in today's world of driving? Manual transmissions. Remember when driving wasn't just pointing and going? Sticking a shift was like a secret handshake with your car, feeling the engine surge as you climbed through the gears. And that perfect heel-toe downshift? Pure driving poetry. Now it's all automatics, smooth and easy for sure, but where's the challenge? Give me a stick any day. It's about being in control, feeling the road, not just some passenger on a comfy couch. Anyone else out there miss that connection? That feeling of truly driving? Flat tire crisis? No sweat. Back in the day, we all had a secret weapon. The full-size spare tire. Like a superhero sidekick, that bad boy was always there to rescue us. Now, we get these tiny little spares or repair kits that might save space, but meh, they don't exactly inspire confidence, do they? Full-size spare? Now that's peace of mind on wheels. A safety net that lets you hit the road knowing you've got backup. Who else misses having a full-size hero in the trunk? Handbrake gang? Where are you at? Remember the days when parking wasn't just about tapping a button? One yank of that lever, that satisfying click, and your car was locked down tighter than a vault. Now it's all electronic parking brakes. Convenient, but a bit soulless, don't you think? Give me the good old handbrake any day. It wasn't just parking, it was a ritual, a connection between you and your ride. Anyone else miss that feeling of truly securing your chariot with a good old yank? Miss stick shift? Remember when driving wasn't just picking a speed? The clutch was your partner in crime, letting you unleash the full power of your engine with a flick of your ankle. Nailing a perfect shift? Pure driving satisfaction. Now it's automatics everywhere. And they are easy, but where's the challenge? Give me a clutch any day. It's about being one with the machine, feeling that engine respond to your touch. Anyone else out there craving that connection? That feeling of actually having a connection with your car? Remember the days when hopping into a Mercedes-Benz was like stepping into a fragrance fairy tale? That sleek perfume dispenser was the cherry on top of luxury. Cruising down the road, surrounded by your favorite scent, every trip felt like a spa day for your senses. But now, with air fresheners ruling the dashboard, those perfume dispensers are tucked away in the nostalgia drawer. Sure, modern scents offer convenience, but nothing beats the old-school charm of a built-in fragrance dispenser. Who else pines for that touch of sophistication? Sometimes you just want to relive the magic of choosing the perfect scent for your ride. And finally, does anyone remember those Toyota ice makers? Boom! Instant frosty drinks on road trips, like a mini fridge in your car. Now we've got coolers and mini fridges, sure, but man, those built-in things were kind of cool. Pulling over, grabbing a perfectly chilled drink from your car, it felt like a secret hack. Those were the days, huh? Fresh ice on the go. Pure road trip magic. Ah, the good old days of icy refreshment on wheels. Keep the nostalgia alive and watch our other videos. Which car feature makes you say, "Those were the days"?